Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a little bit of a shout out for Cran Tara Miniatures and some of the stuff that they're offering for musket and tomahawks, as well as a bit of a table update today afterwards. And so I have shown the Cran Tara website here before, and I just wanted to kind of show this here. We'll kind of go back to this where it shows French Indian War small actions, where you can actually get into some of the French Indian War stuff they're offering. I'm actually just going to show some of the pictures on the Facebook page. Now, Graham over at Cran Tara is commissioning a lot of French Indian War stuff, which is really awesome. And he's also offering some miniatures, some of the Mohawk miniatures that were commissioned through the Fife and Drum Miniatures line over James Perky. And now he's combining some of those together to offer just some different variety in units on the French Indian War front for both sides. And so I am just going to go over to the Cran Tara Facebook page real quick. And looking here, what I believe we're seeing is, you'll see some more of this later when I show the deals, but these are, and I don't have any of these, I'm kind of interested in these because I started with the Minden Miniatures French, but these are some skirmishing French infantry, and I believe they have a number of different poses where they're at the ready and advancing, and it looks like an officer here. And so these are green, so they're being done right now. A lot of these are pre-orders that are coming out, although some of them you'll see are ones that are existing miniatures. So here's just a rear shot of the or a side shot of towards the back of some of the skirmishing French infantry. Now, what we have here, I believe, are the Hurons that are coming out. And so I was really excited to see these. These look really nice, just in a variety of skirmishing poses, which is similar, to the Canadian Marines. They're going to fit all really well together, and that they're all sort of in skirmishing poses. And so these are ones with rifles here, or I should say muskets. And then you have some that are in sort of a jacket, and then some that are not, that don't have jackets on, which is cool. Okay, so more skirmishing ones. Now, you don't see a weapon in here, but as you'll see, there are actually weapon sprue coming up, and so it's going to allow you to put things in their hands. And because this is also greens, I'm not sure in some cases if there will be a rifle in that hand, and we just don't see it yet. Now these ones I believe are going to be holding melee kind of weapons, and so these are Hurons, and they don't have the jackets on. Now this is the weapon sprue, which is really cool, and so you actually will get a gun here, or a bow that you could choose, which is great because in musket and tomahawks you can use, at least you can, that's one thing I'd have to look at for the second edition, but I definitely for the first edition. But I believe actually I had seen in the second edition in the red coats and tomahawks that you can use bows. And so that'll make it really easy in that regard, just to put bows in their hands. And then you have a quiver. And then we have, I believe, the gunstock club, which is very cool and stereotypical of that era. And then probably my favorite, which is the ball club, and then you have, I believe that would just be a tomahawk there on the end. And so also very good considering, the game is musket and tomahawks. One thing I should also mention is I really believe, because I use my stuff for both musket and tomahawks and sharp practice, and if you're interested in sharp practice, I do think that you could likely use all of this stuff without any problem in sharp practice as well. And so that's the just some sneak peek at some of the new stuff coming out by Cran Tara and some of those variety of units. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and show Graham is also offering the Mohawks. And let's see here. Now the Mohawks, I believe, are these ones that are sort of marked up, showing the different probably unit codes, the codes that they'll be most likely. And so this would be, I'm imagining, the Sachem or an NCO at least. and so has the gun in one hand and the club in the other. And then they have one that's actually on a horse, even though it's not the typical most way you would use them in these games. They wanted to create, an option, for native on a horse, and so I thought that was really cool. I would definitely get that. Then we have, so these are now, again, are the Mohawks. So these are the Iroquois. And so again, we have some that are actually without coats. And then we have, or here, without coats. And then we have some that are in coats. And so we have, now what I don't know is, I don't know if these will come with weapons separate that you can put them in their hands as you wish, or whether they'll come with the weapons in hand. And that part I'm not sure about. But in any case, it's really cool though. I really like I can see the gun stock club up there, and there, and the ball club there, and then the guns. I'm almost thinking maybe that we'll get them where you can mix them up the way you want, but not positive. Okay. It would make more sense probably. Not sure. But then we have 4 here, Mohawks actually with guns. And then another 4 different poses. I really like the poses. I think they look really cool. I like this guy right here. He looks like he's sort of scouting out front. And then back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the Cran Tara website. I'm going to show where these are, these pre-orders, and also they are combined with other things you can get for Musket and Tomahawks French Indian War as well. So when you're at the web page, you can just go up to French Indian War Small Actions. And then there's some different options for 7-Year War. It says Small Actions French Indian War. There's options for 7-Year War too. You just want to go into French Indian War. And then Musket and Tomahawk units. And so I believe you'll be able to order all this stuff at one point, just as separate units. But these are basically unit and force packs that are meant to facilitate the Musket and Tomahawk rules. And so here we have, like I've showed on my channel already, the French Marines, in Canadian dress. And so you have options here. These are all on sale right now. And so these are already available. So some of them I think are pre-orders, the ones that I just showed in the greens. But then we have some that are listed as French infantry at the ready. When I went in here, it looked like you can get them in packs of 8 or 12 in this case. And then there are likely other areas of the website where they're in different numbers, but these are meant to facilitate the game. Now, honestly, Sharps Practice as well has most of their units in 8 figures too, so that's why I said you could use this for both games, really. And then we have French infantry at the ready, different packs, and then poses where they're firing, poses where they're marching. So then we have the Huron War Party, and so this is on sale right now, but when you click on that, what you're getting, just as an example, I'm not going to go through all the war parties, but from what I remember looking at them, they're all fairly similar. You're getting 51 figures, which is quite a lot. And that would be 400 points under the first edition of the game, which would be not even an entry-level game. I mean, that would be like a really sizable force to start with. It's literally giving you 3 sachems, 8 units, 3 being warriors, and my assumption is those are the ones with the muskets, and then 3 bloodthirsty warriors, which would be ones that have hand weapons, which is really cool to have that differentiation there. Like when I used to play, I didn't really have that differentiation. I would just say this is a unit of bloodthirsty warriors, whether they, had a gun or not. And this is kind of neat. You can just have them as melee-oriented characters. And then you have one listed as a young warrior, and they're a random selection of figures from the Huron range. And so that's quite a bit if you're wanting to do like a native force. And then, if you're wanting to do the Mohawk War Party, then you're going to have the same sort of options. Like there was also in here, if you order, like just going back, if you order the Hurons, there you can get a pack of 6 warriors, which a unit normally of natives is 6. That I believe is the same in both the first and second edition of Musket and Tomahawks. And so these are ones, the warriors are armed with muskets. And so you can buy a pack of 6 discounted right now. And then it'll be the same. Like, you can order Bloodthirsty Braves separately, just like that, and then it's the same. You can order the Mohawk War Party, Mohawk Warriors, and Mohawk Bloodthirsty Braves. So right now, particularly if you're interested in the French at first, or if you're looking at getting English allied natives, you know, the Mohawks, you can get this stuff if you like these style of figures like I do, over at Cran Tara. And so you can get really, you know, a group of, you know, French Marines and natives to go with them, which would be a really classic force. And then there are, as I've showed already on the channel, there are French officers that are available, you know, to buy individually, and actually quite a few of them. I mean, you can get really ones on horseback and just standing as well, and so you can get all that stuff at Cran Tara right now. What my understanding is from Graham is that he will be adding English forces to the website as well. He'd mentioned specifically Rangers, and I know he'd mentioned other things too on Facebook. I, in particular, would love the French Indian War with Rangers with the berets. You know, that sort of style that you see with like Rogers Rangers that disappeared during the American War of Independence era. We didn't really see those. And so, particularly in the miniature lines, you don't see that at all. And so that would be really great to have those within this sort of style of miniature. The ones that are like Minden Miniatures and Cran Tara Miniatures. And so, yeah, so if you guys are interested in these, there's lots of cool stuff coming. And lots of stuff already here now that you can buy. I mean, I know people that like to do native forces right to begin with. And so there's all of that there. And then you can actually really do really cool French force between the infantry, French infantry, the officers available, the Marines, and all the natives. I mean, you really, in particular, if you're looking at for a French force like this, it's got it here. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah, if you're interested in this stuff, check it out over at Cran Tara Miniatures. And I'm going to go to my table and do a little bit of an update now. Yeah, so it's been a little while since I've done a table update, and part of that reason is because of all what you're seeing in front of you here. It might not look like much because the bases look a little bit like the white, although this is just primer where the white is actually painted here. I have my Minden regulars as well as my Cran Tara officer here and here, or I should say my Cran Tara officer there that I'm working on. This is all command here. But I've been working away at these. Like all of the backs have got most of the gear except for the straps painted. And of course the sword hilts aren't painted yet. But I'm just kind of working away at these. This has been a large group and I am quite enjoying it. Despite what I'm about to show in a moment, showing that I'm doing more stuff in addition to this. I am really enjoying painting up my French. I've got my standards or my flags ordered like I said I was going to, so those are on the way. I got a bunch of them in one shot from GMB Designs just to match what I've had in the past. This one here. So I've got Languedoc and my British flags. I believe it's the 44th. Yeah, I think it's the 44th. And so, yeah, so I'm working away at this stuff. I'm still working on base paint. I've got to do essentially the sort of straps. I got to do the base and really just a couple of doodads, really the sword hilts and the bayonets for the most part. And then, of course, I kind of do the eyes as a whole separate process when I do the eyes. But once I kind of get that done, I'm going to get my first highlight up. My white, I won't really be highlighting totally in the same traditional way. I really will do a gray wash, and then I'll paint some white, not pure white, but some brighter white over the raised areas to clean up that a little bit. And then I'll just do my highlight on the blue and the eyes and stuff, and then I'll be pretty close. I do have to, of course, paint the brim of the tricorn too. So I have a little bit of work, but I'm actually feeling pretty good about these guys. I'm actually making some good progress. You know, it took me a while in my British too when I did a big group like this. I actually had a little bit more British than I do here for the French, but this is a comparable force to counter them, and it's taking me a bit of time. Now, I'm really loving my French Indian War right now. You guys can probably tell because I've been sitting into it, sorry about that, settling into it considerably over the last bit. And I've decided that as much as I want to do more and other things, because I've got so many eye candy things and things that I wanted to do, and I've had this sort of layout that I mentioned at the beginning of the year, what I've decided is I'm going to stay on the French Indian War for even longer than I thought. But the way I'm going to do that and still get other things done is I'm going to start painting my Marvel stuff just as a break here and there. You know, when I have an hour here, an hour there, where I just want to kind of do something a little bit different and just keep, as I'm plugging away on these, I'm just going to pick up a Marvel miniature. Now, I did start, and I started with the Hulk. I've been researching how I want to paint these guys, and I'm going to really diverge from what's comfortable for me, because I could easily just attack these guys with my normal way I paint miniatures. I've painted superheroes before, you know, and I could easily do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a comic book style painting, and so that does mean more contrast than what I typically would do, and I would try that normally even with this miniature, but I'm actually going to do some black lining and some cross hatching and some techniques that are used in comics. Now, I will just say that a YouTube channel that I got very inspired by in doing this is Epic Duck Studios, who does some comic book tutorials and painting on his channel and has painted up Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures. And so it's a technique using black ink, and I have bought what was sort of available to me in acrylic black ink. This one is by Speedball. I've not tried it yet, but that's what I'm going to be trying to use for this. And so I'll be doing normal painting and some highlighting, but I'll be adding in a lot of contrast, and I'll be doing some stuff that some people might really like and some people might really hate, but it in some cases it blackens out areas of detail and in favor of shadow and providing contrast, and it makes it look a little bit more what you would expect on a two-dimensional image as a comic. It's sort of trying to artistically emulate some of the things that the eye likes when it looks at comics, and I kind of like it. I actually really have enjoyed looking at it, and so I'm going to try it with the Marvel Crisis Protocol game, starting with the Hulk. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what's up next. I'm continuing to work on these guys for most of my time, and then I'm just going to play around with some of the Marvel characters. That'll allow me to make some progress on the Marvel characters here and there, finally be able to get that on the table like I'd like to. Even my daughter has expressed interest, my oldest, in playing that game, and so I do want to kind of get it on the table so we can do that. I'll do some videos in the future of my Marvel train and table, but as well, I'm going to be primarily plugging away at the French Indian War and doing it for even longer than I thought. Probably be doing this through to our next Old Hammer Challenge. Okay, hope everybody's doing well, and talk to you later.